it is a great honour and a privilege, and I know you hear this said a lot, but it is to be asked to speak here amongst so many people who have probably so much greater intellect than myself. But I do appreciate being asked, and I think what we should do, gentlemen, seeing it is a varsity function, is be upstanding and drink a toast to the ladies that have turned up. So we can all Varsity is a bit unique in that the main reason that most of us played was to impress all the women that used to turn up. Fielding, of course, one of our great rivals, they used to play to impress the local sheep. High school old boys used to impress each other. Of course, Freiburg, they used to try and impress the schoolgirls that lived next door. But you know, we could spend all night telling stories about others, and perhaps we should pull the feathers of it out of ourselves. But the Massey boys were characterised by thinking outside the square. And I think that all of us realise that that's what makes Massey University rugby unique. We had an example of this where we were upstaged. My first game for Massey was actually for the Rams. And we got in the back of Dave Patterson's, or Peter Patter's, Ford Transit van and trundled off through the gorge to play Dannyburg, which was quite a great honour. I was just first out of school, and I'm there with all these big ugly guys, and it was, you know, we were pretty excited. We went over and played them after the game. We went to Hepper Pieway's place, and I think we'd let them beat us just so they'd put on free piss all night. And they had a couple of kegs there. We were drinking in Hepper's place, and by the end of the evening, we were supposed to be going about 8:30. Well, this is about 10:30. His kitchen was awash with beer, and this is thinking outside the square where we were upstaged. Hepper went out to the shed and got a drill and drilled a couple of holes in the floor of the kitchen. Away went all this beer, but I'm sure that the guys would have liked to lick it up. The week after that, and I won't go on telling stories about the rugby thing all night, but the week after that I got promoted to the A's. And I knew I'd been promoted to the A's because when we were going down to Wellington to play Wellington Club, and the cars that we got in were a lot flashier than the Bs. I had the great honour of getting in a car with Harry Snell, and now not all of you will know, but the guys that do know remember Harry would have a warm feeling in their stomach about a guy that played for the club and was just a great, and he had a Mark III Zephyr. And we went down there, played them, had a few drinking races, and took off back. Well, Harry's Mark III Zephyr went quick enough, but we're going along those straights there, and Kent Lambert went past in a Mark II Zodiac with 4 on the floor. We were blooming there airborne, and we raced all the way. I thought I was going to die, actually. We raced all the way back to Palmerston, round up Fitzherbert there, round past the Fitz, and both cars were airborne going over the Cook Street there, or up Cook Street, and we ended up at the Caf de Paris. So that was my first touch with death. I did actually originally, after school, went up to Auckland University and enrolled there for a few days. I did actually. I was going to do civil engineering, which was my forte, and I sat around looking at all these wankers thinking I'm going to have to spend 5 years on these people. I hope there's no civil engineers. That was not actually true. What I was supposed to say was that I kept reading in the paper about Bob Burgess and the way he played rugby and stuff, and the way he looked, he had long hair and a big droopy moustache, and that's actually, Bob, I've never told you, but that's one of the reasons I came down here. I got on the train, and $1.75 later I turned up here to play with, not to play with you, but play with you. Of course, and Ronnie was there, and those years were just great, and Ronnie and Linda and Bob would invite us around for a feed now and again, and of course we loved them dearly. But it was a great experience to come straight out of school and play at a club where there was, you know, like most clubs. I was born up in Karaka, you know, Papakura there, and the senior team would struggle to get 20 players to a trial at the start of the year. We had 70 in 1972. And there was no apparent organisation. That's the way the club was. But everybody seemed to get a bit of a go. And I went all right. I think I was playing outside Bob, playing against Jamie Francis and the other team, so he wasn't going to tackle anybody. So I scored a couple of very soft tries. And afterwards we were having a couple of drinks, and Sir Doc Stewie at the time said to me, "Oh, come up on Monday and have a chat to me in my office," you know. And so we did what we had to do that night, which, I mean, from about 1 o'clock onwards, I couldn't remember what happened, but we woke up on Sunday and there was a whole lot of stuff broken in B Hostel, and I couldn't remember if it was me or who it was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't me. But so this going to Doc Stewie's office on Monday morning took on a whole new light. Because of course, when I was at school, Huey Taro was my principal, and going to his office on a Monday morning was very devastating. Walking up to Doc Stewie's office, my hands were sweating and I started to shake a bit. But anyway, I went in there, and I think, you know, this is the difference between playing for a university club and a normal club, is that you do get support from some very fine gentlemen. And Doc Stewie said to me, "Oh, you went all right in the weekend, you know, sit down, Rollerson, blah, blah, blah." And went, "What are you doing?" Ag Science. He said, "Ag Science is normally a 4-year degree. For a man that plays rugby like you, it's a 5-year degree." Can't remember. But he said, "Do not panic." Anyway, we all have different philosophical reasons for playing rugby, and what I worked out in the last 6 years being CEO of North Harbour Rugby, it is an integral part of the framework of society, and it's a powerful tool. People that play team sports generally don't end up in front of the beak. You know, like the average judge will tell you that, well, all judges will tell you that they don't get people that play sport in a team sport or sport in a dedicated individual sport in front of them, and I just think that that's just huge. In the old days, I think that we played, and I don't know why some of these movie stars play now, what the reason is. But, you know, I would hope it's not just money, but we used to play for the old fellas in the stand. And I can remember thinking, you know, there was a heap of them. You know, they were all quality people. Just the loveliest people. You know, having been up there, you get these drunken old fat things complaining about how the team's gone, and they think they're whispering, and old Buck Shelford standing 2 feet away and they're going, "Bloody Buck, we should sack him," you know. It's just the worst feeling, but not once. And we didn't play that well all the time, by any stretch of the imagination. We come off the field and get slated by these guys. You know, guys like Jimmy Henson, Jimmy Hodgson, you know, Len Partner. It made these guys feel good. You know, if we lost on Saturday, Len, who was handing out the tickets in the car park, he'd be giving everybody on Monday tickets, even if you weren't parked in the wrong place. Oh, Skippy, Lemon Roy, A.B. Ward, Bill Johnston, Doc Feltham, and Doc Stewart. You know, like, it was just outstanding to have guys like that supporting it, and I think it made a lot of difference. You know, it made us think that they believed in the youth of the country. And I'm not saying by any stretch of imagination the youth of the country are not there at the moment. I've got a boy that came down here and did an applied science degree, worked for a year in Hamilton for Turners and Grass, and then decided he wanted to go in the army. Well, I said, get stuck in, you know, because, well, you deserve it. You can do what you want to do, really. He's 21. And Janine and I went down to the passing out parade. He'd spent 3 months in Waiouru, getting up at 6:15 every morning, going to bed at 10:15, being told what to do every minute of the day. This passing out parade, there were about 200 kids there, there was about 230 to start with, there were 200 left, and it was just the most magnificent, you know, exhibition of the youth of today, and I was very, very impressed. Like, it's just absolutely, I think that we think that when we were youth, we were tougher and better and faster, but I really think that the country's in good hands. What we see around today, and you see with the young guys down there, and we all thank you for the effort today. It was just magnificent to see have a win, and you know, they were stuck into you were stuck into them, and you didn't give an inch, which was fantastic. But you do have mateships, and I flattered with a guy for 5 years, the guy Russell Hawkins. Where's the winker? But, And in fact, some guys used to start to say, well, George and I were gay, but we used to hang around together all the time, but we enjoyed each other's company. And like I've got a batch at Pukahina Beach in the Bay of Plenty, and Murray Neckstead's there, and you know why I'm bringing this up. But, Nex and I, we've become very good friends, and how you see him on TV, he's not a wanker like that at all in real life. He's quite a good guy. And he does make some sense, although he's a bit intense, but he comes down my end of the beach quite often and parks in my section, my batch, because the surf's better down there, and he tells me about the left-hand brake, the right-hand brake, and what I should be doing with my life, and I can assure you he's not gay. His boyfriend is, but he's not. I can assure you. But George and I just get on very well. It's like a lot of guys say, you don't have to talk to know what the other person's thinking, and that's the way we got. Although we used to slag each other on the field a bit, like quite a bit at times, and nowadays they call it sledging, in younger language. But I remember Rangi Attenborough saying, geez, when you two start yelling at each other, it makes it hard for me to concentrate. And he was in the opposition. He played the Denny Clare, from fielding. When we used to play the fielding boys, they'd come out, you'd only see the whites of their eyes, you know. Absolutely insane, you know. He'd go, the more you buggers talk, the more we know we're in trouble. So, in actual fact, one of Denny's finest remembrances is, that's probably not a word, but anyway. You know, I don't want you to. This is not like something from Deliverance, Bob, but he said fielding guys still dine out on the time they got you in a ruck and you started squealing. So those fielding guys have got a funny sense of humour. And I know that every 5 years still, the Kia Toa guys have a reunion of the time that they beat us in 1972 or 1973. Most of us guys have forgotten it because it was a bad memory, because we'd had a blues ball the night before, and these guys went on the piss for about 3 weeks, happy they'd beaten a bunch of guys who were still half pissed. And I know that we are, I think, and I still think it's the way, that Varsity is still the benchmark around Manawatu and the rugby scene. You know, we went up there, I think we won the championship in 1975, we went up to Orua, and they beat us, and Sammy Strawn was playing. Look, we didn't matter if we threw it to number 1 in the line or number 8, Sam grabbed it, and he put that in his book. It was one of his greatest rugby memories, which was just absolutely, I thought it really showed that a lot of the people around the Manawatu do hold the Varsity club as the benchmark by which they judge their ability. Mark Orham's down the back there, and then his son Jake's going very, very well, and we congratulate you, Mark. Fantastic. It's great to know somebody that's got a son like that. When the cricketers sledge each other, they usually talk about somebody's weight or their sex. And I heard a lovely story about Daryl Cullinane when he was striding to the wicket, and Shane Warne, who's always been a bit chubby, said to him, I've been good, I've been waiting 2 years to humiliate you again, Cullinane. And Cullinane turned around and said, it looks like you spent the meeting. Now the other one, of course, was when Glenn McGrath was bowling to Ed and Brandy's, and he sent a couple down past the outside edge, and he went up the other end of the wicket and he goes, Brandy's, why are you so fat? And Brandy said, because every time I go around and shag your wife, she gives me a biscuit. Well, we don't have any of that uncouth sort of language on our field. We've been very blessed by the coaches we have at Massey, and it's great to have Wayne here. Wayne was a guiding light when we were, Hugo and I and Cookie were 18, and we just started with the Massey team, and Wayne looked after us, and of course his lovely wife. And Wayne, and of course the super coach Alan McRae. And it's great to have guys like that. Now Steve Morris, there's been heaps of them. They're all dedicated to the task, and we love them dearly. However, some of the other coaches that I've been associated with haven't been quite that good, But one I would mention, which is, it's always good to, say somebody that's affected your life. Huey Tara affected my life at Wesley College. We won the MURFC Cup, school of 182 kids, and just went up Northland and beat them. And Huey instilled in us an absolute black and white regime. If you're going to run hard. If you're going to stop. And it was just a great. I appreciate the time we spent with you, Huey, and I remember it always. Owen Gleeson, another lovely guy. Graham Hamer took over Manawatu and really took on a lot of what Owen should have had. Owen started with a group of, when I started in the Manawatu team with Hugo at 18 or 19, and we were really just long-haired fools, and we could run and kick and tackle. We had no real common sense. And he had a lot of trouble with us, mostly off the field, but some on the field. And when Graham took over, he basically just let the team run itself. And I always remember this lovely story, and I don't tell this as well as George does, but Graham was sitting on the fence while, Everly and the South and Bullet and etc. ran the team, and he looked over and there was a couple of a reporter and a cameraman coming. So as they walked over, he got us all around him and he gave us the old, "Now listen, you bastards, this is the big one." And it was the first thing he'd said to us all night. And the next day on the paper, Hamer takes hard line with players. So it's all relative. Like I played in the All Blacks with 3 or 4 coaches, or 3 anyway, and they were just the loveliest guys. But, Eric Watson one time, the only thing he ever said to me about rugby was, it was the first time I'd played first 5 in a test, I go to Eric, "Well, what's the game, what do you want me to do?" And Eric goes, "Listen, Doug, I don't care what you do as long as the ball ends up in front of the forwards." That was quite powerful stuff. So anyway, I can see Mark Oram just about to ring the bell because he's the timekeeper, and so I just, nowadays I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm really sort of like a consultant come entrepreneur, and I'm not sure what that means either, but I was looking at buying a pub, and because I had somebody that wanted to go in and run it. I wasn't going to be running it. I'd be looking like Phil Kingsley Jones. But, I took I've got a guy up there, Peter Dolan, who's the loveliest guy you'd meet, and he's my business mentor. He's done very well, and he said, I met a guy up north who bought a pub, and the guy that owned it before him said, "Look, I've basically gone broke, but you can make a go of this. The only one thing is, don't run a slate. Don't run a tab for anybody." So the first week goes past, this guy, married guy, Bill, comes in each day, drinks up large, goes home. He's just the most pleasant guy. On the Friday, this guy looked down the bar, and coming out of the cool store with a tray of cans under his arms, Bill, and he's heading off out the door, and he says, "Hey, Bill, haven't you forgotten something? Aren't you supposed to pay for that?" And he said, "Oh, no, just put it on the slate." And he says, "Well, I don't run a slate." And he said, "Well, you should, because you might forget." I'll just tell you a little story about attitude. Rugby is about attitude, and in 81 I was lucky enough to play against the Springboks in a 3-test series, and in the 3rd test there was a guy flying over dropping flower bombs on us, and well, not on us all the time, but they kept missing. But at one stage, I'm standing there talking to Dave Loveridge with my hands in my pockets, doing what I did best, and Gary Knight walked past, and Gary was just a big man. We all know who Gary is, and when he went past, the sun went out. He's that big, but the woman, this bag of flour hit him right in the sweet, and if it had missed him, it would have killed me, but it sort of knocked him down. He went down like a poleaxe bullock, but he's grunting and carrying on the ground. The old Zambuck runs on. In those days, you had to be at least 70 to be a Zambuck, and he's splashing water on Gary's ear, and there's bloody mixing up this flour and water in his old sweet, and Trapper and I are pretty bloody worried about him actually, because he's grunting and groaning on the bloody thing, and the Zambuck keeps mixing this flour and water up, and Clive Norling comes over, and I don't know if you remember Clive Norling, but in those days the local #1 referee was Pat Murphy, and the referees in those days, they'd just blow their whistle as hard as they could, stick up their arm, and if you argued, or even asked them a question, like the nicest question, 10 metres. In actual fact, that I'll just digress for a minute, but I remember we played high school old boys on the background one day, and they had Gary Knight, John Loveday, John Callison, Jeff Old, Mark Donaldson, Duncan Hales. They were going to kick our butt, Anyway, after about, God knows how long, 10 minutes into the second half, we started to get on top of them, and we were a few points ahead, and we're on defence, and he penalised high school old boys, and we got the penalty, and Mark Donaldson just went off at old Norm Thomas. And he's really going off. He's using all those little words that we don't like to hear. And Norm goes 10 metres, and Bullet tells him a bit more about his pedigree, another 10 metres, and we're heading towards the grandstand, you know. On the background we go. So he gets to the 25, and you have to excuse this, but Bullet just stands here like this and goes, "Fuck it, Norm, I'll race you to the showers." Anyway, I digress. 90's on the ground, he's grunting and groaning, and Clive Norling comes up, and I'm telling you about Pat Murphy, and those guys were just so conservative and lovely guys. And Clive was the first of those flamboyant referees that we saw. He was. He generally, he pounced around, he's a Welshman, he pounced around, he used to pull his shorts up around his chest. Nobody would shower them because we were worried about him. But he calls the two captains in, and Trap and I are still standing there doing nothing. And Vaynard Clausen and Andy Dalton come in, and he goes, "Well, boys, it looks like it's time we call this one off." And this is absolutely true, word for word from now on. And Andy said, "We're a few points ahead, we're winning." And Andy said, "Well, you know, Vaynard's the visitor, you know, he should have the say." And this is all about attitude. You know, Clausen, he just looked up in the sky and he said, "Do you not have an air force in this country?" Had that boy in the Manukau illumination so quick. But finally I would say, well done, Johnny, and all the supporters, our workers. It's great to see so many old faces and so many young faces here, and it has been a great privilege to be amongst everybody, and I hope we can carry this on for many years to come because it is a special club. Thank you.